Dude, it did that. You hit the accept button
I
when that
did.
happened.
I
So
did.
why don't you tell them what we're talking about?
Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the First and Football Podcast. Today is Sunday, October 29th, 2023, week 8 of the NFL season. I am Justin Sutton coming to you live here in Green Bay.
Mike Rosenthal, right outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yes. Sorry we missed you all last week. Had some technical difficulties as we were just discussing.
Yeah.
Tried to have our show on Sunday night while I was on vacation up north on a hunting trip, as was Mike on a hunting trip. And yeah, we were both a little under the influence, I would say, and had a few beverages. And all of a sudden we get through our whole podcast and it appears that nobody hit the record button.
Well,
So
time out. I hit the record button and you said approve. And
yes,
then
yes,
something happened. This is why I'm not responsible for this. This is why Justin's responsible for this. My brain is scattered. Right before this show, I went to go fill my water in the bathroom sink. I turned off the light switch when my water was full. Yeah.
that
It's
kind
not
of is
firing, right?
something ain't right there.
Yeah.
Can't say what's wrong, but something ain't right.
I think it's having a 3-month-old and then also juggling school and hunting.
Yeah, that'll do it to you. That'll
Yeah.
do it to you. I
I'm
mean,
in a
I
pretzel.
completely flipped my sleeping schedule on this hunting trip. I'm a second shift worker, and yeah, I was hunting on a first shift schedule, so it was interesting.
Yeah, but we're back. Harvested a
Yes,
deer this weekend. So
managed to get some grouse on the table this weekend. So
there we go.
yes, successful trip.
The Wisconsin lifestyle.
Yes. So what do we want to get into today first here, Mike? Do we want to get into some notable injuries or would we like to just start discussing games right away? Because I'm cool with whatever you're feeling.
Let's talk about those injuries and let's just RIP Kirk. Nobody wants to see that,
Yeah, we'll just get that
especially
out of the way
after
right away.
the that Netflix series. See how good of a guy this guy is. He's going to come back. He's still going to be a great quarterback. But it just the Vikings had a little bit of hope there. Even with the win today, they're buzzing, and then your quarterback goes down along with having Jefferson down. It's just like, man, that it's hard to have sympathy for Vikings people as us being from Wisconsin, but that does stink.
Easy on the word great there when describing Kirk Cousins. He's good. I don't know if he's great.
He's pretty great at football.
I'd say he's really good at football.
I think he's a great person.
That's a factual statement. I have seen quarterback, and that definitely, like, even as a Packer fan, like, I got a lot more respect for the dude. Like, he's a lot more likable. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Hate to see
yeah.
the fact that he got injured. Like, that's shitty. Nobody likes that. And I can relate as a Packers / Aaron Rodgers fan watching that man go down 4 plays into the season. I digress. Yeah, let's get into some more notable injuries here. How about you talk about your boy, RIP to Kenny Pickett, going down with some ribs today?
Uh, that BS non-call as well as the dude put his entire body weight on him. The announcers were like, "Oh, it was just his shoulder." I'm like, "Oh yeah, just his shoulder weight probably broke Kenny Pickett's ribs." The refereeing in that game, Kenny
all,
Pickett's going to
all
be back.
year in every game, the refereeing has been like outrageously inconsistent.
Kenny Pickett was prompt to come back into that game, and hey, dude, we put Mitch in there through 2 picks, classic Mitch Trubisky. But hopefully Kenny's back this Thursday because I got a quick turnaround here. I
But
imagine he will be.
with a rib injury, I would imagine he won't be, but I guess we shall see.
Nah,
Hurts to
he's a,
breathe, let
he's
alone get hit, you know?
he's a tough dude. He was going to come back in this game. He
Okay.
came back in last year when he got a concussion on the Sunday, and he came back that next week, kind of how Brock Purdy did it this week. He's tough, and they need him because Kenny's
They
clutch.
do.
You see
Yeah.
what Mitch did?
You,
Mitch
you,
ain't
you see
clutch.
the drastic drop off from him to
And
Mitch,
that's
that's for
crazy to
sure.
say. That's crazy to say, too. You
Yeah.
wouldn't think that there would be because Kenny hasn't been that great. But then you watch Mitch play, it's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, so that's what bad quarterback play looks like.
Yeah, Kenny's not good.
There's like mediocre quarterback play, and then there's bad quarterback play. That's what Mitch Trubisky put on
I mean,
display.
Kenny's a top 5 quarterback in the fourth quarter. Mitch decided to throw 2 picks at the end of that game to pretty much solidify it. So
Yeah, I know somebody else who threw some picks in the game today.
What else you got for these injuries? We'll get to these games.
Yeah, we're gonna get into Matt Stafford with a right thumb injury on his throwing
Oh
hand.
yeah,
That's pretty sketchy. It's not looking good. I bet you, if I had to guess, he's probably got a severe bone bruise at least.
yeah.
That looks pretty bad. I seen the hit live watching the game.
Also another tough SOB.
Yes. Oh yeah. I would be shocked if he doesn't play. That
Yeah.
dude played through a lot of shit over the
Take
years.
my
So
thumb. I don't need it.
yeah, right. Um, Drake London with a groin injury. Those always suck. Groins like tend to linger and just easily re-aggravate. Almost like they're like the next closest, I think, to a hamstring for like what's the word here? Recidivism. I learned that word.
Reoccurring.
Recidivism. I learned that word on another podcast that basically talks about how the risk of re-injury. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, like the risk of re-injury for a hamstring is pretty high. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. I think it's like 18% or something like that, and like groins are pretty close to that. So
Yeah. Pat Fryerman.
exactly. Speaking of easily re-injured injuries, Darren Waller with a hamstring injury. I mean, that dude is such a beast when he's on the field. It's like he's just like how like
Yeah.
dude, how much time is he gonna miss,
I don't
man?
even think much about that guy because he impacts so little games throughout the season. It's like, whatever. Who cares? I mean, he's cool to watch when he plays, but most of the time you're just like, oh, the guy's hurt.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, at least George Kittle is like, like everybody is like, oh, George Brittle, sure, but like he's on the field pretty good amount of the time.
I
Like,
think he had almost 100 yards, or maybe he hit over 100 yards today.
yeah, he's always missing probably like, I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 6 games a year, but he's at least still playing,
And he
I'd say
blocks.
I'd say yeah,
Darren
like
Waller doesn't
12,
block.
12 games plus a year. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's a complete guy. Anywho's are moving on. Tyrod Taylor with a rib injury that knocked him out of the game, sent him to the hospital, and apparently he's going to stay overnight so they can keep
I
an
heard
eye
that
on him.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Hope he's all right. Kendrick Bourne with an MCL injury, which is a fat rip to that New England offense. I mean, he's been like the lone bright shining star.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mind my dog here. He's just nesting up. Got to get comfortable. Devontae Parker of New England Patriots also has an injury. He's in concussion protocol now, I believe, with a head injury after taking a helmet to helmet hit. Daniel Jones could return next week. It has been deemed that he will not miss the rest of the season. So that's good news for him. I don't know if it's good news for Giants fans, but it's probably good news.
Yeah.
Good news for Daniel Jones. Kyler Murray. I mean, he's like full participant in practice all week and whatnot. Like I'd be willing to bet we see Kyler Murray next week. That's my hunch.
Yeah. They need him.
Yeah, agreed.
Dobbs isn't, I mean, Dobbs did do some good stuff this week, but he definitely showed why he was a backup.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think. Look at the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. They're already a tough out with Dobbs. Like they're probably making the Ravens
Yeah.
way more uncomfortable than they wanted to be today if they had Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Justin Fields still not playing for the Bears tonight, as this game is already kicked off. Chargers and Bears. They need him back, that's for sure, and he needs to get back if he wants to attempt to save his job. So,
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown was a late addition to the injury report. He's questionable for Monday night's game with an illness. There's been something going around. I mean, everybody's been getting it.
That time of the year,
Yeah, I mean,
especially in the
Mahomes,
Midwest.
everybody. Yeah, it's the sickness time of year. Everybody wash your hands, and if you're sick, just
Stay home.
yeah, exactly. Just whatever. Don't try not to spread it.
Yeah.
If you got PTO, use it. Let's see here. Debo Samuel. Hopefully he's back next week. I mean, the original timeline was 2 games, and this week that he missed against the Cincinnati Bengals was the second game of that timeline. So
They've been great without him.
they have been, but to what extent? I mean, they've
No,
lost the
they
last
have.
two
That was
games.
sarcastic. They have not
Oh,
been great.
I mean, like to
Did you
some
know
degree,
that?
it's like the offense still runs decently, but it's like you can tell they're missing that extra spark that he brings.
Did you know that the 49ers, um, I was listening to that game. They said they've never overcome an 8-point deficit going into the fourth quarter with their current head coach.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
That's insane. That's all the Steelers do, and they suck.
I mean, it
That
kind
just
of
blows my mind.
you
Like
know
all the
not
weapons they have, though.
Yeah, but like now that we're a few years removed, like what's the inverted of that? Like it's probably like the inverted version of that would be like it's hard to sustain a lead. Like that's kind of like why I'm not surprised now as years have gone by that the Falcons blew 28-3 with Shanahan as their OC.
I mean, still, yeah, not being able to overcome an 8 point deficit. I mean, that's that's terrible,
Yeah. I
especially with
mean,
the
it's
defense that they
pathetic.
have.
Yeah,
With
it's with
the
the talent they have on that roster, it's outrageous.
they've been exposed these last 3 weeks. But we'll obviously get into
They
that.
or Brock Purdy. I digress. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, he's got a knee injury, but he's deemed questionable, but he said he plans to play next week. So
Yeah, that
the
guy's
last
also always on the injuries, but always plays. He's tough.
he's another tough SOB. Yeah.
Yeah,
And last but not least here, notable injury. Curtis Samuel had a toe injury today against Philadelphia. So
you're missing one. Minka Fitzpatrick,
oh yeah, damn, I'm
one of the
sorry.
best safeties in the NFL, left with a hammy.
Yeah, that did not look good. I was fearing for a torn ACL when I saw that. I was
I
happy to
did
hear it was
not
just a
see
hamstring.
that.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah,
He went to the ground and he was grabbing at it and he looked lifeless. So I was kind of fearing for you guys.
yeah. I mean, I fear for the Steelers in general, but we'll get into that.
Well, get into it if you'd like, Mike. That's all I got for injuries. We can start with that game unless you want to go in some sort of order.
Um, we'll go in the order that we have on this spreadsheet. This week we're just going to go through these games. We didn't make any real official picks on the podcast. We'll be back Wednesday to talk Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. We'll be back Friday to give our picks, and we'll get back into another routine. Life just obviously gets a little crazy.
Yep.
Sucks when we first started doing this, but it is what it is. We're doing this for fun, so we're not trying to stress too much.
Hopefully, those of you that do listen to the podcast and watch the videos,
Yeah.
whatnot, enjoy it, have stuck around, and we haven't abandoned you.
Yeah. All right. So first game we had the Vikings at Packers.
Do we have to? That was
the
bad.
Packers stink.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I think it's just time
the
to
Vikings.
blow it all up.
The Vikings are gonna. It's not time to blow it all up. You got to give Jordan Love the season. You have to. They're going to. You know they're going to. So
there's no other option. I mean,
you gotta ride the Love train, baby.
Their pride is too high on Jordan Love. They traded up to go get him in the first round pick. They can't bail on him now, even though they know if it's true.
You don't know pride is too high until you have Matt Canada as your coordinator. Okay, you want to talk about pride being high? Have the worst offense for the past 2 seasons. That's pride being high. This is Love's first year.
I get it, but like think about how close they were in those last few years with A-Rod. It's like, like they traded up to get him, and like that was a great draft for wide receivers when we really needed that extra oomph.
I mean, you can't live in the past like that.
Oh, I'm just saying it's clearly played out the way all skeptical Packer fans at the time said it would, and it's like
regardless, the big takeaway from that game is the Packers
suck.
Are still they're just not very good, and the Vikings were gaining a lot of traction.
Yes, they are.
Being 500, that traction is stunted now. Who knows what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins being out? Honestly,
who knows what's going to happen with JJ now? Jefferson,
Yeah. It's hard to feel bad for him, but I do feel bad for him. That's really tough. You like to see your stars playing football, like we've said many times. And as Kirk Cousins may not be a superstar, but he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
True. He was having an absolutely stellar season.
Yeah.
It's a shame to see it come to an end for his sake. I mean, one quarterback who is not having a stellar season, I mean, on the other side of the ball is Jordan Love. It's like, I don't know. To me, he just kind of looks like the most athletic backup quarterback in the league, short of like Malik Willis, Trey Lance type deal. It's like, I don't know. It just looks so clunky. Like nothing works. Like the play calling looks like they don't trust him. And then it's like when they do try to throw some stuff at him that requires trust, it's almost like, well, you haven't trusted him to this point, and all of a sudden, like it's like you've been throwing easy plays at him, and all of a sudden you're going to throw the more complex play at him when you need it most, and haven't really given him the confidence to do it. Like it just, when I say blow it all up, I shouldn't say blow it all up. Blow up 2 spots. Blow up quarterback. Blow up the coach. I was not a fan of Matt LaFleur when he was hired. I don't think he's the answer. I think he's getting exposed right now.
I'm going to go back to this. You can't blow up Jordan Love right now. You got to give him the chance. You don't give Love a chance by making him throw the ball 41 times. You don't. He's not a rookie, but he is a rookie starter.
I
Like
would have
this
way
isn't
more
for
tolerance for that, I guess, if he didn't sit for 3 years. That's the problem. Like if he
but
sat for
like
a
it's
year, I'd be like, yeah, patience. But
yeah.
I get
You
what you're
can't.
saying.
They need better coaching so that way they're not having this dude throw 41 times when you have two good running backs on your roster.
Right.
The Packers going into the season. Oh, they got two good great running backs. They're gonna
Yeah.
have they're not
Aaron
doing
Jones was
anything.
MIA today.
The leading rusher was Love with 4 carries and 34 yards. Like what? They're not
And no,
helping. They're not
and
helping Love, especially against a not great. The Vikings defense was okay. They've been okay, but they're not great. Like they should. They need to put up more than Love being the leading rusher with 34 yards. Like that's
honestly, what I saw with this matchup, like I kind of saw this game coming, this kind of undressing game of the Packers, and that was strictly because like I think Brian Flores is a good DC, and he comes from that hoodie tree. And
yeah,
what does Bill Belichick do to bad quarterbacks? He makes them look really bad,
really bad.
and
Yeah,
he just plays with them. And so I guess like now that I've really seen it go, like, dude, he looked so bad against Denver and the Raiders, and now
yeah.
this, and it's like when you get that exposed by the hoodie, name one quarterback that's looked that bad against a like hoodie tree coached defense and has like
Yeah.
come back to prove it wrong. I just like I don't know, man. Like if like I said, if J Lo had been here for just sitting for a year, I would have way more patience. But I guess I look at it
Yeah.
like you didn't just sit here for 3 years. You sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. It's not like you had Ryan Tannehill to learn from.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
there's some weight to that for sure.
Yeah, like
But
I. That's why I'm
regardless,
out.
we're gonna ride them out and let's go on to the next game, which had another similar terrible stat line. The leading rusher, oh, sorry, let me start by saying the game. Jaguars at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh coming into this game. People picked them. They should have kept this. Actually, I would say they did keep this game pretty close.
I picked
Besides the
Pittsburgh
B,
this week.
besides the BS offsides calling that field goal, the refereeing in this game was notoriously terrible, like it has been all season, but especially in this game. Deontay Johnson called it out. He's going to be facing a fat fine at the end of this. It was terrible, like unbelievable. Ugh, it stinks, especially the hit on Kenny Pickett not being called after his ribs got crushed. Just complete BS. But the comparison in this game is Jalen Warren had 19 rushing yards. Najee Harris had 13 rushing yards. Mitch Trubisky had 18. The Steelers they scored 10 points also. They're not successful when their quarterbacks have to throw. Kenny Pickett threw 16 times, Mitch Trubisky threw 27 times. And they got no rushing yards.
Right.
You're not successful when you're not playing both ends of the game. When you had on the other side of the ball with the Jaguars, ETN had 79 rushing yards. Pretty not bad. I mean, and then Trevor Lawrence threw for 292. Like, I mean, there's no balance on the Packers or the Steelers, which is why they are the way they are. The Steelers are the luckiest 4-3 team out there. The whole AFC North, the Steelers are going to end up at the bottom of the AFC North.
I would agree with that.
And
Unfortunately,
I hate saying it. Well, I do like the fact that Deontay Johnson has had back-to-back decent games, getting him used. But the Matt Canada getting fired train, the guy needs to go. They're not going to can him this season. Somebody else needs to take over play calling. They do the same shit week after week after week after week. It's been almost 2 seasons of this, doing absolutely nothing in the first half.
it honestly kind of looks like an
Nothing.
elementary school offense to some degree.
It's because they can turn it on in the second half of games. Kenny Pickett's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the fourth quarter. But then the rest, like, okay, you have the guys that there's no way they don't have the guys there. They have Sayamalu on the line. They have Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, who you throw anything near him, he catches it. Darnell Washington, throw the ball to him. Jalen Warren's been great. Najee Harris can be good. Like, he can be your grunt. Like, the people on that team are not scrubs. The
Agreed.
scheme is scrubs, or the scheme is it's a terrible scheme.
Scrub
Matt
scheme.
Matt Canada's got to go as the play caller. They need to do something different. Who gives a shit if you blow it up right now?
Yeah.
They should have done that in the bye week. Blow it up. Say, Canada, you're done doing play calls. You're not changing the playbook because it's in the middle of the season. It's driving me nuts. Like, luckily, I didn't watch most of this game because I was
So your
driving
blood
home.
pressure stayed relatively normal.
Yeah, but Mitch Trubisky once again throwing picks. If we would have had a better chance, obviously, at Pickett was in the game. He's a better quarterback than Trubisky.
Yeah.
It's the Pittsburgh sits second in the AFC North right now, with Cleveland being 4-3, Cincy 4-3, and Baltimore 6-2. Cincinnati is. We'll get to that, but yeah, I kind of took over that. Steelers, something drastic has to change once again, but saying that every week. The offense puts out the same product. It is absolutely ridiculous that this guy has a job, or they're not calling him out as being changing play caller. The pieces are there. Do
Yeah.
something different. The defense is making big plays.
It's
They're
exactly
slowing down the Jaguars. They kept it in. They kept the game close, and then you just don't. It's just. Oh, go
that's
ahead. I don't.
exactly how I feel about the Packers defense. They have 8 of their 11 starting are first round picks, and Joe Barry just constantly vastly underperforms with that. But that's beside the
Yeah.
point. Yeah, the Steelers, it's
Well,
like
the Steelers, at least, their defensive players, doesn't matter what pick they are, they do perform. They're performing. The only part of this team that performs is the defense, and they have to be out there the whole freaking game because the Steelers go 3-and-out all the time.
yeah, at
Because
least
the
you got
offense
one
is,
side of the ball that performs at all.
yeah, but I mean, eventually it's going to come down to it's not meshing at the same time.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I think that's kind of like the double-edged sword that is the Steelers. Like in a league that is so offensively dominated and,
Yeah.
is literally really just leans towards the offense, the rules, everything.
Yeah.
It's like the Steelers still play elite defense, and that is like a beautiful, amazing, good thing, and also like a horrifying, sad, archaic thing because it's
Like
like
statistically,
you
though,
guys spend so little money on offense, and then like it's like almost like the Steelers have these same problems year after
well, they
year. Oh, the
they don't need
defense
to.
is great, the offense just can't keep up, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe you stop spending money on defense and start spending money on offense, and things might look a little different.
Well,
But
they do. They have spent money on offense. They have offensive picks. They have a lot of first round picks on offense. They have the
they went
people
out
on
and
offense.
signed Alex Highsmith to a huge contract.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I mean, you're just constantly
they
spending
need.
money on defense. Is all I'm
Well, they
saying.
don't need to spend money on offense right now because they have so many people on offense that are young on rookie contracts. They don't have to put that money there. That's how teams get successful. Is like that's when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. Burrow was on his rookie contract. That's how you win. That's the best strategy to win is when you have your best players being cheap.
I agree with that.
But
I
they
mean,
have
there's
the, they
also
have the
data that
people.
proves that the Steelers in like the last 15 years have, I think they're top 3 or top 2 in defensive spending in comparison to offensive spending.
Yeah, I mean that may be I don't know what that I don't know about that stat, but regardless, the offense has pieces in place and they keep this play caller in there. It's like it's they have a good enough squad there to not be the very bottom of the NFL in offense. They should at least be if they just performed in the middle, just a little bit better, just in the middle, they would be a very successful team. But they can't even do that. They can only do that in the third and fourth quarter. That's you can't win games like that.
Yeah, I
But
I definitely get you there. I mean, let's move
the
to a team
Jags.
that
Oh,
actually has been
well, that's.
successful
I
this
guess I'll
year.
give one shout out to the Jags. The Jags are on a hot win streak right now. They didn't look great, but they are a good team. I think they continue. They're progressing. That team's progressing. Good for Jacksonville. Good for their fans. They stunk for a long time.
Right. So yeah, let's move on to a team that actually has had success here, and that is the Cowboys against the Rams. I mean, they absolutely just boat raced the Rams. That was over by halftime.
Yeah, I have one nugget. The fact that I decided to stack Dak Prescott and CD Lamb against Summy, our buddy.
Oh, nice. I'm sure
He
he
didn't
really
like that.
appreciated that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm projected like 180 something in fantasy this week.
Nice. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, that I hit a high score in one league I'm in the other week. I think it was like 2 weeks ago now. I hit over 200. That was pretty wild.
Woo,
I had a bunch of
let's
people go
go.
off. Yeah, it was like Tyreek and Keenan Allen, and it was craziness. But yeah, Cowboys and Rams. one thing about that I noticed is that Cowboys defense is somehow still playing at like an elite level without
Yeah,
Trayvon Diggs. Like I thought, I like it kind of showed itself for a few games, like they were missing him, but then it's
yeah.
like, dude, they've rebounded. That defense looks every bit as nasty, and I kind of can't believe it to some degree. I think Dak had his like back to back second straight, just really nice performance. I mean, that interception he had was kind of BS. It was a tip ball. I think anybody who watches enough football will tell you quarterbacks who get interceptions based on tip balls is kind of BS.
Yeah.
So it's like, Dak looked lights out. I think that Cowboys team played a complete game. Offense, defense, special teams. They just murdered the Rams in
Yeah.
every fashion. It was crazy. I didn't think the
Besides the
Rams were going to
rushing
get
game,
beat that bad, but I thought Dallas would win. But that was like, wow, that was kind of
yeah,
shocking.
their rushing game was a little lacking with Tony Pollard,
It kind of
but
has
they
been
didn't.
all year.
Yeah, people picked Tony Pollard high like me in our league,
And people
and
stayed away from him like me. Y'all are the smart ones.
yeah. Well, what's your record in our league? But they didn't need him.
That's not the
Who's
point,
who's
Mike.
won the past couple years in our league?
That's not the point, Mike.
Let's talk about this advice. All right, worry about this advice.
Yeah, you got that beginner's luck. I know. First
Two
couple of
years in
years
a
you're
row.
first couple of years you're in the league, the football gods got to look down on you so that way when you lose the league the next 10 years in a row, you don't get frustrated and quit. Got to remember them championship banners you hung 10 years ago, kind of like the Steelers.
Same with the Packers.
I know.
Yeah, the Cowboys looked legit. Like you said, they played a complete game.
Crazy. Crazy
Yeah,
legit.
good for the Cowboys. I mean, the Rams, I'm not surprised. Like, the Rams are a big question mark. They can go off, they can't go off. Matthew Stafford didn't have a great game. Cup's involvement is kind of odd.
That was
Um,
crazy to me. I took a huge L in fantasy with him.
yeah, yeah, it's they need to give their best guy the ball.
It's like we say it every single episode, almost like just hyper target your best offensive player
Yeah.
and like
Like,
watch what the fuck happens. Like,
one last nugget, just because that same thing bothers me. They didn't target Pickens at all, I think, in the first half of the game, and then he ended up getting a touchdown. Hyper target that guy. Throw him the ball every
he's
time.
better than Deontay Johnson. Yes, just hyper
Deontay,
target him.
Deontay has his place.
Yes,
But give it more. Pick Pickens all the time, just like this. Give it to Cooper Cup if your team's Cup. That's how they won a Super Bowl. I mean,
yes.
it's
In
not rocket science here.
Yeah, in terms of like pure physical talent, I believe George Pickens is up there with like that small handful of guys where it's like they literally can do it all at the wide
Yeah,
receiver position. Contested catches, short, intermediate, deep balls, speed. I
yeah,
mean, you name it. It's like they got it.
dude. Yeah, we don't got the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. All
But
right,
what else you
moving on here
got?
to
You
the
got
next
anything
game.
else on this game, or do you want to go
Other
on?
than that's kind of probably bad luck for Sean McVay. I mean, first game as being a father and you get blown out like that. Sheesh, come on, man. Strap on the New Balance and get the dad vibes rolling. Let's go.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that good little nugget.
Falcons at Titans. Atlanta was favored by 2.5, and I definitely I have a pick 'em pool in my fantasy league, so I got to make some picks this week for my own personal bragging rights in that order. But yeah, that Atlanta 2.5 line, I jumped all over Tennessee. I was like, oh, staying far away from that. I thought Tennessee. I'm like, man, this is kind of a who knows game, and in those
Yeah,
who knows games that are kind of defensively dominated, kind of slower pace games, I'm like, I'll take Mike Vrabel 10 out of 10 times in that kind of
yeah.
situation.
I
Like
would have just
Mike
stayed away
Vrabel's the
from
type
that.
of coach you take with you to a back alley bar fight, dude, and that's exactly what I thought that game might turn into.
Him and Dan Campbell.
Yeah. Hey, Arthur Smith, don't forget about him now. Like
It,
that's
yeah,
I had to think about it for a little bit there, and ultimately it was just like, well, I know what Desmond Ritter can do for quarterback play, and that's what led me to go with the Titans. So,
yeah, man. That I think if we did a pick that game, I would opt not to pick that game.
yeah,
But um, the Titans did something that we were just referring to. They gave the ball to their best player, though they threw the ball to their best receiver.
yeah,
Maybe not best player. I mean, it's hard to argue against Derrick Henry,
yeah.
but
Yeah, but I mean, dude, D Hop, oh my God, talk about vintage D Hop. That dude getting drug tested after this week, no doubt. I mean, I swear that was it was like every 10 minutes, like DeAndre Hopkins touchdown, DeAndre Hopkins
Mhm.
touchdown. Like he had 3 tubs. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe how good Will Levis looked. I mean, he's looking every bit of the prospect that he was touted to be, and like
Yeah,
it's almost looking like the people who passed on him look kind of dumb because for someone to come out and look like that in their first outing against a pretty formidable defense in Atlanta,
yeah,
kudos.
yeah. I mean, no tape on you helps.
Most definitely, and that definitely helps. But I mean, that you've seen the arm talent, the flick of the wrist to that deep left corner shot in the end zone for the last touchdown he threw. That was
Yeah,
pretty impressive, man.
yeah, good.
He's got decent pocket movement for the experience he has. You know,
Yeah,
I like him.
added to that game, he only had to throw for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's a great stat line
Yeah, that's
because
highly
Derrick
efficient.
Henry,
Yeah.
100 plus yards, right over 100 yards. Like, very balanced game by the Titans. It's going to be interesting to see how this guy performs this coming Thursday against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Another somewhat tough defense to play against. So
He kind of reminds me of just like a Ryan Tannehill with a better arm. That's I mean they look
yeah,
like they just got younger at quarterback. That I mean like I
yeah,
don't think he's going to be like some elite Hall of Fame guy, but I don't know if he's going to be a chump in the league. So
yeah.
put it that way.
And
Um
I guess last shout out on this game, Bijan first rushing touchdown. About time.
yes, finally.
Yeah,
Last shout out on that game for me. Props to the Atlanta Falcons for finally just I mean you can say that oh Desmond Ritter had a concussion and we wanted to keep him out or whatever. No, get him out of there. He's not good. Admit the mistake, move on, swallow your pride, and go with Taylor Heineke. I know the dude throws picks like he's Brett Favre, but he also wins games and has heart like he's Brett Favre. I mean, that Atlanta team, it almost looked like the whole team juiced up when he came in. Like everybody
yeah,
was like playing harder. I mean, Kyle Pitts is alive thanks to Taylor Heineke. Like,
yeah. You can be a successful team with a quarterback that throws picks.
yes,
I mean, once again, two teams that you and I both root for. Ben Roethlisberger threw a bunch of picks. Brett Favre threw a bunch of picks. Both successful teams during those eras. They did it.
yeah.
Some quarterbacks were more successful than others. Some, but two Super Bowls.
Don't
um,
remind me about how A Rod only has one. I digress, though. Let's move on to the next game. I'm kind
I,
of
lo-
done talking about Atlanta and Tennessee.
All right, we got Saints at Colts.
Yeah, that was kind of
Um,
a bummer game for me. I picked the
I
Colts, and that game started off right. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, you were on that waiting for Jonathan Taylor to get something going. He did pop
I
off
have.
95 yards, but no touchdown hurts.
He had that one big run, yeah, and I don't know what was going on, but it's like he got 12 carries, and they were just like, "Yep, you're done now. We're not going to hand you the ball for whatever reason." So I don't know what's going on there. I still think he's probably just not 100% back to like football shape. I
Yeah,
figured next week he probably looks a bit better, that's for sure, but because he's looked better every single week. But that's definitely one note I had on that game is that Taylor has looked better every single week since he's come back. And with that being said, I think it was probably one of the better games in the early window, considering the early window had like 5 stinker games where like you just didn't want to watch pretty much
yeah,
at all. Um, I think the Saints offense looks like it kind of got their shit together a little bit. They looked a lot more fluid and they looked way more like they didn't look nearly as discombobulated. They didn't depend on Alvin Kamara nearly as much. Like he was still a vital part of their offense, but it wasn't like
yeah.
Derek Carr was looking for him constantly. So I feel like the Saints kind of fixed their offensive woes a bit in that game, and Colts kind of shot themselves in the foot that game. They had some just tough penalties, tough play calls, tough just execution of the plays. I mean, just got to be a little sharper. And I think the Colts probably could have snuck that one out because I
I
mean
mean,
that last shot to Shaheed that there was controversy on if it was an interception or not from Derek Carr. I mean, the DB is in pretty good position. Like, yeah, two dudes there too. Like,
yeah.
somebody's got to execute a little better there. It's pretty bad that Shaheed came down with that ball.
I mean, the Shaheed stat line is insane, though.
He is insane.
3 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. 3 receptions. Like, let's
That
go.
hey, that's like D Hop. He had 4 receptions, 128 and 3 tuds. That's like
This is finally a game where Derek Carr throws for 300 plus yards, and the score reflects the big numbers.
yes,
38 point. Like,
it wasn't garbage time
finally,
stats.
like, let's
Yeah,
go. I mean, I'm a low key Derek Carr fan, rooting for the
yes,
guy. So
agreed.
um,
Same here.
I didn't get a whole lot of details on this game. Like I said, I was on the road, so I was only catching some stuff. A little bit hyper, more focused on the Steelers stuff. But yeah, the Saints needed that win for sure, and to put up 38 points on the Colts is awesome. Um, that puts them tied, I think. I think with Atlanta at 4-4 in the division.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So that keeps them in the race. I mean, that division's wide open. Uh, Atlanta 4-4, Saints 4-4, Tampa Bay 3-4, and then you got Carolina who got their first victory. So like
Yes, they did.
that division's really tight. Unlike the AFC South where the Colts are now, they're at the bottom at 3-5. You got Houston at 3-4, Tennessee 3-4, Colts 3-5, and Jacksonville sitting cozy on the top with double the wins as anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's their division to lose.
Yeah, man, yeah, you're there's no reason Jacksonville should not win that division.
Agreed. Unless they just
Um,
underperform. But
yeah, I don't see that happening. That's for sure.
yeah,
Not entirely. I think they can be mediocre and still take it, but
one team that doesn't really underperform, moving on here, is the Miami Dolphins, who took on New England Patriots down there today in Miami. And I mean, the first thing I got to say about this game is those uniforms were awesome for the Dolphins. I don't know if those were throwbacks. I think they were. Those looked amazing. Those were pretty crispy, in my opinion.
I love the Dolphins jerseys.
Yeah, their color scheme. I remember as a little kid, I really thought they had the coolest color scheme in the
Yeah,
NFL. I
they're
loved it.
sick.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, but I'm going to pound the table for it, dude. Tyreek for MVP. Like, it is him. Tua is not this dude without Tyreek. You look at Mahomes, he ain't the same dude without Tyreek. That whole offense ain't the same without Tyreek. Everywhere Tyreek goes now, he's been a stud, and that team looks different, and they're just so explosive. It's almost not fair. I think the
Yeah,
dude's an animal. He's got over 1,000 yards already, and I think it's Tyreek for MVP by a mile, in my opinion.
I think Tyreek Hill may be one of the best receivers that we've ever seen in our.
Yes, Hall of Famer, gold jacket
I
status.
was thinking about that today. I'm like, is he the best receiver I've ever watched?
He's got a
Like,
ring. Doesn't he have
yeah,
two?
he may have two with
No, no,
the.
no, because the second Mahomes ring came without Tyreek. But yeah,
You're
he's got
right.
a
That was when
ring. It's
Juju
like,
Juju is there.
but the whole reason that Mahomes and the Chiefs won that first ring was because of Tyreek.
Yeah, yeah. Dolphins continue to roll, man. Good for them. That team is awesome. I need to watch them more. That
Yes,
football, obviously, it's hard to when you have a bias in a team that you like to watch, and red zone only covers so much. But
right.
I think maybe this coming weekend, I'd even sit down and just watch an entire Miami Dolphins game because the Steelers play on Thursday. Like, I'm not sure if they have a bye or not, but like
Yeah.
that would. I'd like to see that magic work, dude. Every facet of that game, they're awesome. Like at
Yes.
least on the offensive side of things. But Patriots still sting.
Agreed. Yeah. So let's move on here to the next game then, Mike. Now that we got New England and Miami crossed off the list.
Yeah. Well, I guess one quick side note: we're at halftime right now. Chargers are beating up on the Bears, 24-7.
Yeah, not really that great of a game.
No, not really. It's what you'd expect.
Yeah. But one thing we did not expect was the Jets at Giants, the late action, absolutely electric finish to that game. That was crazy. I mean, it was a stinker all the way until like that Jets offense woke up and suddenly, they go down the field, score, go down the field a little later in the game, tie it up, force overtime, go down the field after stopping the Giants and kick the game-winning field goal. I mean, that was just like there was so much tension in that stadium. That was a great game. That scoreboard did not feel like it was such a low scoring game. It felt like you were in a shootout. It was a pretty good game to watch, even though it was kind of low scoring.
I did not watch any of that. I think there was 24 punts.
Yeah, it was rough. It was
Cool.
rough until the end.
You know, awesome game for those New York teams. You both stink. I
Yeah.
mean, the
At least the Jets have hope.
the Jets have. I will give them that. The Jets have hope. The Giants. Oh my goodness. Are they
Dude,
gonna
I
get?
feel bad for Brian
Are they gonna
Dable at
get
this
rid of
point, man.
Saquon?
Yeah.
Can we let Saquon go somewhere? Maybe not.
Like straight up, I feel bad for
Yeah,
Brian Dable at this point. It's just like he took over, the rebuilding squad and they overachieved, and it's like I just feel like if they never overachieved and made the playoffs last year and like won a game, it wouldn't be so the expectations and like all the media coverage right now
Yeah.
wouldn't feel so crushing,
I mean, the Jets are 4-3, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Is Rodgers going to come back maybe the last couple games of the year
Yeah,
and
I
get
hope
some
so.
reps before the playoffs come? I
I
mean,
hope
are
so.
they going to be able to sneak in with a wild card?
That would be pretty epic.
I
I mean, Rogers probably rewrite the history books with that.
mean, they may have a hard time getting in. It's going to be close, but that'd be pretty sweet, dude. I
That
would
would be.
I would pay big money to see that. The Giants, even with, I mean, the only shining star on that team is Saquon Barkley, who's a
Yeah.
stud.
I
But
mean, dude, speaking of shining stars, that Jets defense is full of them. I mean,
I love
dude,
them, dude. They're
that
awesome.
Jets defense, that's my favorite defense to watch in the league. They are so electric. It is literally almost like a
Yeah,
second offense for their team. It's
yeah.
it's crazy, dude. Like they allowed -9 passing yards for the game. -9 passing yards
Are you serious?
for the game. That's the stat that I saw post game.
Wait, what?
That was the stat that I saw
Oh my
post
God,
game.
yeah, the leading
Negative
leading
nine passing
passer
yards.
Tyrod Taylor 8 yards, 4 for 7, 8 yards. But they
He got injured, and then
that
and
is
then
insane.
yeah, -9 yards. Dude, that Jets defense is crazy, absolutely crazy.
That's so cool. Hey, good for them. They got, you know what? Like I
Hot
said,
take. That's the best defense in the league.
what did I say? What did I say a couple episodes ago? I said the Jets and the Steelers are the same team. Their offenses stink, and their defense is the only thing that keep them worth watching. I don't. I want
This might sound painful to you right now, bro, but I would take that Jets offense over the Steelers offense right now.
like if you talk about the people that are on those offenses, I
Oh
would take
yeah,
the people, but give me the Jets offensive coordinator or somebody
yeah,
else. Like,
yeah. Your talent
but
is not
yeah,
like that far of a drop off. Agreed.
no, yeah,
Agreed.
it's the talent for whatever. We don't need to talk about the Steelers. The
Yes.
Jets have some stuff to work on, but
Oh, they have so much hope after that game. Good for
yeah,
them.
dude,
They got to feel great.
Zach Wilson, no turnovers,
Yeah.
awesome. Like, hey, that he's slowly making a case to be a backup for the rest of his life and make a bunch of money and retire. So good for
He's
him.
slowly making a case for him to look at Jets fans everywhere and say, "Hey, just wait on me. Like let Aaron do his thing, let him teach me." And in time, dude, like he has the physical talent, and you can see it. The mental part of it is coming for him. Like
Dude,
it's so inconsistent. It hurts right now, but it is coming.
when those mental clicks happen, sometimes it looks like Aaron Rodgers. So
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like he
scary, dude. The arm talent is like, dude, the way that
just some of the
Jordan Love's
swag where he's just
body,
like,
yeah, the way that
yeah,
Jordan Love's body language already mimics Aaron, I'm like, dude, Wilson has more of the skill set to do
yeah.
it, and it's like he would be a little clone. Seriously, I mean, he's got probably better wheels than
Yeah.
Aaron ever had too. Them legs,
He's
he's lively.
he is definitely slowly flipping the script on what he was, and good for him.
Yes, 100% good
Um,
for him.
all right, next we got Eagles at Commanders.
Oh,
Um,
the
close
AJ
game.
Brown game.
Howell, dude, but still, besides AJ Brown, Howell almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. This guy is awesome at football.
He's got something to him, man. Like he's got some sauce about him. I don't know what it is. Like he makes these
Yeah.
boneheaded errant plays, and the same token, it's like this kid's a baller, man.
Well,
Like
he's 23. If you're putting up almost 400 yards and those types of touchdowns, you can have those couple errant plays, but like that is such a good baseline to work
oh
from.
yeah. I think Eric Bieniemy being the OC actually helps him as a quarterback. Like it's making him very disciplined, and
Yeah.
he's very consistent. I should say he's building consistency.
It's like one of those teams that like they have a couple studs, but they're making a whole lot of offense, but not a whole lot of people that you would think about.
To a degree. I feel like that's another one of those teams that's kind of like they're more talented than what their record shows. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're a little underperforming to some degree,
Yeah.
but one person who's not underperforming, dude, AJ Brown. He is
And didn't
that
he break
dude.
a record?
Yeah,
Like,
he broke the record. He had, and then I think he has now. I think it's 7 or 6 games. I don't know the exact number of games, but he now has the longest streak in NFL history of 125 or more receiving yards in a
yeah.
game. It's crazy. I mean, dude. That first touchdown catch he had, that's up there with catch of the year candidate in my
Yeah.
opinion. With that catch that Garrett Wilson made week 1, that was crazy. Like there's only I think there's one other catch I've seen this year that was even remotely that skilled, and
On
it
top of
was
that, the face mask on that catch.
yes,
Yeah.
bonkers. Yeah, AJ Brown is just a man amongst boys. One thing that I did notice about the Philly Washington game is that that is definitely an underrated rivalry. Like those two teams, they kind of each have each other's number, and to some degree, it's almost like Washington is Philly's kryptonite. It's just like it kind of seems like a Vikings Packers deal going on there. It's like a nice rivalry. And one thing I think the Eagles need to do to clean it up and become more efficient and just become an overall better team, they need to kind of take a page out of the Aaron Rodgers offense. And that is like he plays that West Coast system, but he's very much a take what the defense gives you. So like you might have a play call, but you come to the line and he sees what's going on with the defense and he changes shit, right? But
Yeah.
that's like predominantly the offensive scheme. But one thing that Aaron's really good at, and he did it a lot over the years, especially the last few years that he had Devontae, especially with Devontae at the peak of his powers. It's like, dude, there were so many plays. It was like 3rd and 3, real short yardage situation. And Washington has a corner playing like 8 yards, almost 10 yards, real
Boom.
soft off
Don't
of AJ
boom.
Brown.
Yeah.
Just you're reading the RPO. Like the
It's
second you
free.
see that coverage, take the first down, take the easy points, take the easy yards. Like
Yeah.
dude, the Eagles, I mean, they think about it. There I think there was 3 plays that I watched where like one of them they did not get the first down and they had to go for it on 4th. There was one play where I think they missed it on 3rd and they also did not get it on 4th. And then there was one where they just converted it, but it's like all 3 plays were so risky in the sense of like that just set you back further in the game than it necessarily needed to. You know what I mean? Like just it's
Yeah.
free, take it.
This game is just the epiphany of what people want to watch in football.
Yes,
Watching two quarterbacks, 8 touchdowns
sling
combined,
it.
4 apiece, slinging ball, like fun football to watch. And
Absolute specimens like AJ Brown on the field. Like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, dude, Washington's no slouch. Scary Terry, dude, he's really good. Like,
he's
Jahan
very good.
Dotson is underrated, and I don't know why he's criminally underused over there. Like, he's
Yeah,
he's better than Curtis Samuel in my opinion. But it's like, dude, their defense, like that, they got 1st round picks all up that defensive line in Washington. Like, they got talent. Like, they
that's
got
another
studs.
team. They're better than their record shows.
Yes, exactly. But as great of a game as that was, I think we need to keep her moving here.
Yeah, let's Texans Panthers. I don't really have much to say. Good for the Panthers getting your first win.
Yeah, desperation.
Awesome.
Yep.
CJ Stroud showed something like he's more human than we thought. Only 140 yards, no touchdowns, but he didn't turn the ball over. So
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean,
good sign.
the headline of that game was CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young, the number 1 versus the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
And it's
Bryce
like,
Young won that.
yeah, Bryce Young is definitely showing some improvement, which is nice. And I mean, that was just kind of a slow stinker of a quarterback duel. And
Yeah.
yeah, like we said, good for the Panthers. I mean, yeah, they finally got their first win of the season. So good for them.
This next game, which obviously near and dear to my heart, Brown at Seahawks. The Browns lay another stinker.
Oh, I was so
And
salty. I picked the Browns, dude. I had the faith, and they had that game, and they
the
gave it
Seahawks
away.
the Seahawks are the opposite of we just talked about. The Seahawks being 5-2, they're not that good of a team.
Correct. I agree. They're kind of some fool's gold.
Geno Smith, it's just I think I've said this before on a couple podcasts ago where he just sits in the pocket or makes dumb call. Use your legs, dude. You have legs. Roll out, move, make stuff happen. But he did make it happen. They did beat the stinking Brownies with whatever quarterback they got now.
PJ
Deshaun Watson
Walker.
deciding, yeah, I don't know how
Straight
to
out the
say his name.
XFL.
Deshaun Watson just opting not to play. Probably medical advice said play. He said, nah, dude, I'm just going to hang out. I got my money.
Did they say to play or they say that he's just cleared to play?
I don't know, dude. I don't care.
That situation is so weird. Like I've
I
been
just,
hearing so many different things. Like apparently there's like a real specific injury designation for his shoulder now, and it's like, it's very finicky apparently.
yeah.
So I don't know, but
So to
it's
be
just
more realistic, I did read something on him, and it was comparable to some pitchers that have these injuries in the MLB, and it's usually a few weeks a few weeks that these pitchers are out if they have an injury like this in their rotator cuff.
Well, I mean,
So
to a pitcher's credit, they're not taking contact the way a quarterback is either. So
correct.
what are
So
we at
like
now? Like about a month he's been out. It's been like 3 games.
yeah, I think right around there.
Yeah, like 3 games, 4 games. Yeah,
But
I'd
that guy,
expect to see him back soon.
yeah, the Miles Garrett,
Oh, beast! That dude's insane. It's a
yeah,
shame he
he's
plays for the Browns, dude. He needs that.
it,
That man needs a ring.
yeah. I mean, okay, if we're talking, don't come at me with AFC North talk. TJ Watt needs a ring,
I
not
agree.
sticking Miles
Yeah,
Garrett.
it's. I mean, I can't say it's a
Yeah,
shame he plays for the Steelers. Like, it's a really
yeah, no,
historic and blue blood franchise. Like, it's
true, yeah,
it's a great
no,
place.
I just
But
took that the debate that you always hear is Watts or Garrett's better than Watt. I mean, you look at the stats. Watt's a better. He's more impactful in the game.
it's.
He
I don't even know if I could have that argument just because they play two completely different positions.
well,
Miles Garrett ain't dropping back into coverage like ever, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah, but with the statement I just said, TJ Watt impacts the game more than Miles Garrett does. There's way more times where TJ Watt's flipped the script or won games for the team.
I'm sure you
Miles
could
Garrett
argue.
does have a lot of impact, but where's
I
Miles Garrett ever been when the Steelers have played the Browns?
well,
He doesn't show up.
I think the argument there I would produce is, I think over the last however many years, it's been probably 3 or 4 since they really started gearing rules, towards the offense and whatnot. It's like it
Yeah,
probably has aided it probably has provided more opportunity and a higher ceiling for potential and plays and whatnot for the linebacker position. And I think it has reduced that ceiling and potential to make plays and whatnot for the edge rusher slash defensive line position, which is what Miles Garrett plays. So
they
I guess
both.
I don't even think it's a fair playing field to argue, and that's why I wouldn't even enter that discussion based on that. But I
What do
mean,
you?
dude,
What do
TJ
you?
Watt's an animal. I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah,
They're two elite players. Absolutely, I think either one of them could win DPOY this year.
yeah. I don't. I mean, I think that they're both up for it right now for sure, but
Yeah.
uh, Miles Garrett's nowhere near the player that TJ
What
Watt is.
what's their tenure like? I know TJ Watt's been in the league like what 6 years now. Miles Garrett's been in the league. I think Miles Garrett's older, right? He's been in the league longer.
No, TJ Watt's been in the league 1 or 2 years more.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know if
let's
if the disparity there was so vast to where it's like, well, TJ Watt's stats are kind of skewed.
so
You know what I mean?
no, so um, it doesn't say how many games they played. So, oh, they've both been in the league since 2017.
Oh, okay. Well, then they have equal
Yeah.
opportunity
So
to accumulate
Watt
good
has
stats.
TJ Watt's played 93 games. Miles Garrett's played 90 games. Um,
Pretty fair comparison
Watt
there.
has
Yeah.
more tackles. Uh,
Well, positional advantage. Linebackers usually
three.
get more tackles than DNs.
He has 3.5 more sacks. He has
That's
7 touchdowns to Miles Garrett's 0.
wow. That you want to talk about
Or
impact
not touch. Did I
stats
say
right there?
touchdowns?
Yeah.
Oh, interceptions.
Oh, well, yeah. That's
Big
okay.
fluke there.
Yeah, positional
But
advantage,
they
linebacker.
each of them have a touchdown in their career.
Just one.
Um, yep.
That's crazy. I would think that they would each have more than that. I guess that tells you how hard it is to come by a defensive score.
Yeah. But I think one of
Oh,
the biggest,
one stat,
the biggest thing is TJ Watt's got 25 forced fumbles
one shit,
to
one thing that TJ Watt ain't got shit on Miles Garrett is Miles Garrett has he's one for
costumes.
one for no, he's 1 for 1 for helmet swinging attempts and helmet swinging completions.
Yeah. Yeah. TJ Watt's not a dirtbag like Miles
Yeah.
Garrett. Okay.
Oh.
End the discussion. Hey, he swung at a man's head.
There were conflicting reports about that, but that's besides the point.
They have
Seattle,
mics on
Cleveland,
everybody and didn't hear anything. Okay.
Cleveland should have won that game. I couldn't believe they let that shit get away from them. Seattle throwback uniforms are so unbelievably ugly. I was nauseous watching
The
that
silver
game.
helmet, though, it's nice.
The helmet is cool. Yeah,
The
your
helmet's
helmet's
cool.
nice. The entire rest of the uniform is garbage. Throw it out.
Yeah.
There's a reason they got away from that, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
good game. Just can't believe Cleveland blew it.
Yep. Gino, yeah. Neither team was that great, but yeah,
Yes.
the Browns did once again lose the game. And I feel bad for them. They don't have a complete team. and
Missing their
they need a
quarterback
quarterback.
sucks. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think at this point, dude, if they had Nick Chubb back and still missing their quarterback, they'd be
they.
just fine. I think Nick Chubb's probably the
I,
bigger loss than Deshaun
yeah,
Watson.
I mean, even with their run game's still great without him, but if you put Nick Chubb in there, they'd be. Well, we all know what they are with him in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
All right, next game we got uh the big old stinker here. Chiefs at Broncos.
Ugh.
The they fell apart. The Broncos just completely control Patrick Mahomes' head. They
This was the game that I predicted to a T like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever that was. I was just early. It was the wrong matchup. It was
yeah,
this matchup, not the first time. Like this was literally everything I said. I'm like, if you can bottle up the Chiefs' run game and make sure Travis Kelce doesn't destroy you, the Chiefs are beyond mortal, and that's exactly what they did. Like I mean, I was watching that game and I'm just thinking to myself, well, not wrong, not
I
late,
mean,
just early.
there was just I don't know how much it was just a lot of weird fluky stuff that happened in this game that made the score what it was. Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns. You know how many yards he threw for?
Do not off the top of my head, no.
Just take a guess.
168.
114.
Damn.
The game was weird. The game was weird. And then the biggest thing that I took away from this was when the game got weird, Mahomes fell apart when the game got weird.
Well,
Like
I
he
know
just
he had the flu and they said that he was on IV bags for the last like day and a half. So like I'm sure that has to hinder your physical ability to play. But
yeah.
it's like, dude, if you're good enough to go suit up, like to some degree, it's like, oh, no excuses. You're on the field, you're
It,
on the field.
your team relies on you, and
Yes.
if you're not 100%, you put the backup in. Like
Like yeah, if you're so depleted, if you're such a lesser version of yourself that you're not going to be able to contribute and you're more of a detriment, then yes, put in the backup.
how much of a lesser version of himself could he have been if they had him throw 38 times?
I
Like,
was going to say, yeah, 80%. Like he might have been 80% of himself,
yeah,
but still 80% of Patrick Mahomes is still probably better than 100% of, I'd say, 80% of quarterbacks out there,
agreed. Yeah,
which is crazy. But
the Chiefs aren't the Broncos threw up this big upset. The Broncos are still not going to be good. They're still going to probably be trading some people at the trade deadline.
I would agree with that. I think they're kind of going to be doing both. I think they'll be getting rid of people and kind of trying to acquire some
Just
guys to
float.
really help solidify their culture and stuff like that. Like they're going to
Yeah,
try to go for locker room guys, I think. And I think they are gaining traction just like Minnesota was. They are slowly getting better. You can see the Sean Payton effect is starting to fully engulf
yeah.
that team, and they're looking. I don't want to say looking like the Saints of old because they don't have a guy like Drew Brees back there, but like they're starting to
Russell's still
be.
that dude though.
Yeah, they're
Russell can
starting to
still.
be pretty tough to beat. Yeah.
It's funny that they win this game and Russell only throws 114 yards, but then he can have these just crazy games and they lose. It's like
How many attempts and completions did he have?
12 for 19.
So almost 20 attempts, which like yeah, that's abnormally low yardage even for 20 attempts.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is weird.
but hey, good for the Broncos.
Yeah, indeed.
All
All
right,
right.
next we got Ravens at Cardinals. The little Redbirds put up a fight against the big Blackbirds.
Yes, they did, and I almost think if those little Redbirds would have had Kyler Murray, it would have been a way more uncomfortable fight for Lamar Jackson and those Blackbirds known as the Ravens.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. That I would completely agree with that. The Ravens still looked good, but the fact that I mean the Cardinals have been dogs all year though. They're like once again another team, a 1-7 record. They're not getting destroyed. Like they're fighting. And they
I
got
think,
that nice onside kick that brought
yeah,
some
that was
momentum
wild.
to them. And that wiffle ball of a field goal that they made. Did you see that thing go in?
I couldn't believe that thing went in.
But yeah, I mean, the Ravens are continued good their good play. They're very balanced play. Lamar didn't have to be a superstar this game
Agreed.
for them to win.
Which is crazy to think that we're finally at that point with Lamar and the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like it's like if forever it's been Lamar save us, Lamar go be spectacular, and now it's like the Ravens are a pretty damn complete team. I think there's something to be feared. Like maybe not like to the degree of what I think they could be, but
I don't like
it's dude they are getting better as time goes on, and we've all seen it. Like you said it with 100% certainty. There's no way the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl, and I'm like,
I don't
Right
think
now,
so
I don't
still.
think so. But like, dude, it's all about getting hot at the right time. That's how you win the bowl in this league usually. And that right now, knock on wood, the Ravens have been surprisingly relatively healthy considering what they've been in the last few years. Like they lost
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins. Gus Edwards has looked great. Justice Hill is picking up pretty good slack there too.
Yeah,
The
he's a nice guy to
receivers,
dump off to.
yeah, the receivers look pretty stout. Like they finally hit on Zay Flowers. That defense is 80 to 90, I'd say
Decent. Yeah.
90% healthy and they're playing good. Like, dude, the Ravens, I mean, if they just keep getting better, they are going to be scary, especially when they're like, hey, Lamar, go ahead and finally unleash your legs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that that same Lamar is what he was when he won his MVP season with the legs, but he definitely will be there. Um,
I think Lamar's chalking up another playoff win this year. I'll just say that.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't the team's not deep enough. They're not winning. They're not winning the Super Bowl. They may win a playoff game. Who knows? It's still way too early in the season.
Yeah, got to
Um,
get hot at the right time and got to stay
I
healthy.
guess
Those are the biggest things.
rest in peace to the Arizona Cardinals offense as we knew it. Way to go, Dobbs. You did pretty good. You
Yeah.
made a name for yourself. You're going to continue to get paid and retire off of football for what you did as a quarterback. Kyler Murray's going to come in. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does with this team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I know you're concerned in terms of like how good can the Ravens actually be, but I think two things happened here in this game. I think the Cardinals did what the Cardinals have been doing all year, which
Yeah.
is raising the level of their play regardless of the competition. And I think the Ravens did what the Packers love to do, which is play to the level of their competition, whether that is up or down. That seems to be their
Uh,
theme this year.
I
And
don't.
I think the Cardinals kind of played a little further up and the Ravens kind of played a little further down. And that's what even kept it so close and why we're speculating about Kyler Murray. Because honestly, it looked like Baltimore just slept walk through the first half and they still came out and dominated them in the second.
I don't think. I don't agree with that entirely. I think that the Ravens played the game like the Ravens were supposed to. A 31-point game is a very Ravens like that's what they should have went out and done. I don't think that they're some crazy team like, oh, they could easily just put 40 something points on them. Like the Ravens, yes, the Ravens dominated the Lions. The Lions just didn't show up. I'll chalk that up to that. The Ravens they played as if they should, and then the Ravens played where they needed to play. The Ravens didn't play down to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals played way above what they were supposed to.
See, I think that the Ravens just didn't play like near like they looked like I said they just looked like they were asleep in the first half. Like they had like what one or two touchdowns. Then all of a sudden it was like in the second half they're like, all right, we're gonna go from 14 to 31. Like it
Yeah, I don't
almost just looked like they turned it on. Is I guess what it looked like to me.
no, I just don't think that. I think that that view is convoluted from what everybody saw last week against the Lions, where they just completely went drive after drive after drive. That's not how they've been all year. I just don't.
Yeah,
I
I don't
think that
think they're
where they
that
were to,
dominant. That
I
was kind
think
of a perfect storm. Lamar's legs against defense that really struggles against running quarterbacks.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're kind of on the same page ish.
I think I value them just a little more than you, but not quite as high as maybe you might think I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll go on to the next game. I'll do a little segue here. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
that the Ravens and the Bengals are the top dogs, and I can't wait to see them play each other.
I think Cincinnati's better, which is crazy
And I also think
right now.
Cincinnati's better. So we're going to go to this game, which
This was
that
the
is our
game
next
of the
one.
week.
Bengals at 49ers. Cincinnati is going to find their way to another championship.
Yep. Yes,
They're
they are.
back in a big way. Joey Burrow. I hate the way I
Go
talk about
brr.
this team because I'm a Steelers guy, but I love Joey Burrow. The
I
dude's got
love him.
swag.
Yep.
He needs to stop running so much, but it does fuel the fire, man. But it's just scary. It's like, dude, you're gonna get yourself hurt. You were already hurting, but I digress. The Bengals are the best team in the AFC North, and they're gonna show it. And they got their run game back. Mixon had a great game.
Yes.
I
He
mean,
looked explosive today. I could not believe how fast Joe Mixon looked. I'm like,
and
that dude hasn't looked that good in years.
and the Bengals capitalize on all the dumb mistakes.
Yep.
Instantly, they capitalize. They threw deep balls. They got a pick. We're throwing a deep ball right away because we know Jamar Chase is going to get that, or they threw that touchdown right away after that Brock Purdy pick. The Bengals are all the way back. It's awesome to see. I hate to see it, but I love to see it. And Brock Purdy, once again, not so Purdy.
Yep.
When they need him to play, what's 3 losses in a row, right? When they need him, he stinks.
I just don't think that San Fran can like play from behind. Like I think they really haven't had to do that much either, especially with Brock Purdy, and that's kind of a learned skill in my opinion. Like that's something you learn by doing it. It's kind of like to some degree, like Jordan Love, I think has more comeback wins probably already than Brock Purdy does.
Yeah.
Like the Niners just dominate you immediately because they're so good on script. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best play callers. They get ahead of you, and then they can do what they want on both sides of the ball once they're ahead of you.
Yeah.
So the trick to beat the Niners is pretty similar, like to kind of how you beat any sort of Shanahan coach tree team, tree coach team. It's
Make him
like
throw it.
not even that. Just get a lead on them, make them
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and that way, then you're kind of making them semi one dimensional. Even if they are sticking with the run, it's like you're telling your defense just pin your ears back, stop the
Yeah.
run on the way to the quarterback. You know.
And they haven't, I mean, since this offense has been crazy, they've always had a quarterback that folds under those moments.
Yep. Because I mean, say what you want about we just need a guy who's a distributor, da da da. That's not true. At the end of the day, there's a reason they gave up all those picks to try to put Trey Lance into the system because they thought he could add that extra dimension. He could be that
Yeah.
extra killer to that offense. I
You're
mean,
not, yeah.
I think if Kyle Shanahan could get his hands on Kirk Cousins, even while they have Brock Purdy right now, I think he'd still do it as long as it wouldn't like
Yeah.
bankrupt the team because dude, Kirk has gone from like he's shown that he's a nice person, like he's a good guy, he's kind of a nerdy family guy, you know what I mean? But like, dude, on the field, he wants to win. Like he's not
Yeah.
looking to just, yeah, I beat you today. Like he's trying to make sure he puts you in the dirt. Like I wouldn't say
Yeah.
he's quite the killer that some other guys are, but he's
He's going to
got
dap you up afterwards. But when you're
yes.
on that field, you need,
It's more that Andrew Luck style killer. Like he
yeah.
wants to put you in the dirt, but if you make a good play, he's gonna be like, Cat, nice play.
Yeah.
Yes, it's that like weird modest killer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see the adjustments because the 49ers, like they had a great streak going on, but it's like, hey, this is the NFL any given Sunday, and you need that quarterback. You need that Kenny Clutch. Like, I mean, as of recent, that's the only reason the Steelers have the record that they have is
Yeah.
having that element because they play from behind the whole time. You got to have that element where the 49ers and Brock Purdy haven't had. Do you have that dog in you? And maybe that's why he was the last pick in the draft. You know,
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean,
But
one positive note about that game is like I just kind of want to gush a little bit here over how incredibly special and elite Joe Burrow is. Like I don't like yeah, it's disappointing to watch him throw his body into harm's way like that, but like I don't know, like this is pretty scary what we're seeing here. Like I remember watching Tom Brady for years, and it's like I remember thinking, dude, Tom Brady has the greatest football mind out there. Like Aaron Rodgers is probably a really close second, but like processing speed, the way he sees it, the anticipation, everything,
yeah,
it's like what would be scarier than Tom Brady? How could you possibly upgrade him? Give him athleticism. And honestly, that's Joe Burrow, dude. He's got that Tom Brady mind, but he has a ton of juice for like his size. Like you
yeah,
wouldn't think he's that athletic, and he is. And it's just like it's crazy what he's doing right now. And I love the fact that the Bengals have that pass heavy scheme and they seem like they're going to run that scheme no matter what. Like
yeah.
it's
They
never
got the
really
guy
going to
to
be a
do it.
run dominant team. They're always going to be a throw first team, I believe. And
Yeah,
that's
they're gonna
great.
flip. They're gonna flip the script on having the worst offense in the NFL to at the end of this season. They're gonna be top five.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
All right.
Especially if T. Higgins can stay healthy.
The next game we got, which is happening right now, which we don't really need to talk a whole lot about.
Because it's the
Chargers,
Steelers.
Chargers 27, Bears 7. Justin Herbert already with 3 tutters. Good for him.
Yep.
Um, I don't really have anything else. Eckler with 100 reception yards. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, the Bears still suck. That's kind of all about I have on that.
yeah, yeah. That's an interesting. Whatever's going to happen with that team at quarterback. I mean, the Vikings, and the Packers are all in the same boat of who's going to distribute the ball.
Yeah. I mean, totally. It's the Jordan Love, you just kind of have to ride him out, like you said, for this year. But it's like, I'm already looking at next
Yeah,
year. What are we going to do? Are we going to roll with Clifford? We're going to try to get someone else through the draft or something? Because
yeah,
I understand that they're going to have to ride with him for now and everything. But I think ultimately logic will tell you that if you don't believe it, like if you think that Jordan Love is a mistake in the building, like you're going to move off. You're not going to sacrifice another year of all the other
yeah.
talent you have around him.
That's gonna have to happen in the offseason for sure.
They're going to have
What
to
do you,
have those talks. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that the best quarterback in the NFC North now is Jared Goff.
Yeah, and that's only as accurate as of I think right now today. I would have taken Kirk
Kirk
Cousins before
Cousins.
that, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
he's Jared Goff's a close second to Kirk. I'll say that anyways.
All right, so we have one last game to talk about. We'll make our picks here, and
Yes.
then um, we will. I guess we'll close it out after that. So the last game we have, right as of right now, it's Raiders at Lions. Lions minus 7.5 points.
Smashing that line. I think
I'm
this is
also
definitely a get right game for the Lions.
I'm also smashing that line. Said it every week, and now once again, the last week before their bye, Gibbs is going to be running the ball. They're going to be dumping him the ball. He's going to be impactful in this game. The defense is going to come back, and they're going to eat up Jimmy Garoppolo, and they have a lot to prove after that game, especially at home.
Yeah, I
A
think
lot to prove.
I
Like,
think Craig Reynolds getting some more time to heal up. I think it's going to be huge because I don't believe Jameer Gibbs is the type of guy that you can just give the full workload to and run him between the tackles and everything simply for his size. I think having
yeah,
Craig Reynolds back just to run the ball between the tackles will allow Gibbs to, do his stuff on the edge and in space and as a receiver, and that's going to just unlock the Lions offense
yeah,
entirely.
yeah.
So like
That's where he's in a he'll I mean that's what he did in college, lined up as receiver. Like I'm not yeah, definitely not saying he's the ground and pound dude, but
yeah,
the fact that they can put him back there and then they can say, all right, go out there. Go. I mean, and then the dude is just dynamic.
and I think that's just kind of where they screwed up last week against the Ravens. They got off to such a bad start because it's like he's not that kind of between the tackle dude, and they're just kind of like, well, we got to try it because Craig
Yeah,
Reynolds was so banged up because Craig Reynolds is their backup David Montgomery. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He's that bruiser type in the middle. So, I mean, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think the loss of David Montgomery is a lot bigger than people want to acknowledge. But I
agreed.
do think this is still a get right game for the Lions. The Raiders defense leaves a lot to be desired. Their offense is, I think, the only thing that might make the game interesting. Jimmy G is supposed to play. Devontae is that dude. He's been frustrated. I think if they're going to compete, they're just going to force feed Devontae. So we'll see what
I
happens.
completely agree with you in that it's going I think that the offense of the Raiders will keep this game somewhat interesting to watch. It's not going to be a dud to watch,
Agreed.
but I think the Lions definitely win by more than a touchdown here.
Yeah, I think they pull away late.
Yeah. So, all right, you want to close us out for
Yeah, that's
this
going to do it for today's show,
long,
everyone.
long show?
Yeah, it was a long show. No buys this week. So
Yeah.
all 16 games, some notable injuries. Talked about our own personal lives, what we kind of had going on and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that'll wrap it up for today. Catch us on the next show on Wednesday. We'll have something out for you then.
Yep.
We'll be talking about the Thursday night football preview. We'll be talking about the Monday night football recap of the game we just discussed, Raiders and Lions. As always, please like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on. Don't forget to comment what you want to talk about. Any sort of whatever football thought comes to your head, let us know. We'll bring it up. We'll talk about it. We're not impartial. So,
Yeah. If you want us to be, I know this is a little long-winded. If this is something a little too long, let us know what you think. If you want us to speed through this whole, I guess, be a little bit more
yeah.
rapido.
I mean, some people like shorter podcasts, some people like longer podcasts. Just let us know whatever y'all are
Yeah.
thinking. So,
All
all
right.
right,
Cool.
everybody, that's going to do it. We will see you all in the next episode on Wednesday. Take care, everybody.
Later, buddy.